Life flows on the river of purpose. We're all carried by the uncertainty of its own unfolding. Chasing purpose is all about nurturing faith, setting intentions, pursuing aspirations, all while living boldly. Chasing Purpose aims to inspire, uplift, and empower people through real life stories. Stories that encapsulate life's memorable moments and enduring life lessons. Chasing Purpose with host Cynthia Shea.
God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. Let that sink in. God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. Recently, I received a voice note that says, "Hey, Sin, are you in town?" I answered, "Yes. Why, what's up?" The person responded, "Want to come on a build with me?" My literal response, "Yes, I do." Our guest today can attest to being equipped when called. Welcome to Chasing Purpose, a space where we nurture faith, pursue aspirations, and set intentions, all while living boldly. This week's Purpose Pull comes from dancehall artist Pam Pute. She shared some insightful gems with us during our show. Here is this week's Purpose Pull.
One of the time I hear a voice say to me, say, "Man, kill yourself in the say, I alone struggle with the two pitting them. I run with a voice that I'm stronger than that, and from a believing in the Almighty and now kill yourself." The things them when people throw at me. You know, all of the stone them with them fling upon me, I just take them and stand up on them.
Yes. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chasing Purpose with Cynthia Shea Clark. All our episodes can be found there. Today's guest is no stranger to Chasing Purpose, Miss Michelle Gordon, writer, consultant, speaker, and founder of Boss Mom Foundation Networks and a bag of things. Michelle?
Hi.
Hi, Michelle. How are
I'm
you?
home.
She is, yes, she's home. No stranger to Chasing Purpose. Michelle has been doing some remarkable things through her foundation. She joins us as we explore the topic equipped for this. Michelle, when you sent me that voice note, or it was a WhatsApp message, I was following the journey. I knew that you were embarking on your annual Mother's Day project, right? I want you to take us through, because this is different.
At the beginning of the pandemic, which would have been 2020, I wanted to do something for Mother's Day. I mean, on Mother's Day, typically we are gifted, you know, whether it's from our children, from our spouse, whomever, where mothers are feted. Breakfast in bed, the cards, that sort of thing. But there are a lot of mothers who don't experience that joy. And I wanted to do something nice for mothers. So it was very simple. Reached out to Corporate Jamaica, a couple of the people that I've worked with in the past. And we were able to gift 30 mothers with groceries, vouchers to go to supermarket, paid a couple of light bills and water bills. Really just essentials for mothers, because we were really just at the beginning of the pandemic, but it was hard for a lot of people, just making ends meet. So that went well. The following year, so that would have been 2020, 2021, I did it again, but I was able to reach out a little bit more, and we did 100 mothers. And that would have been through partnerships with the Children's Advocate of Jamaica and the National Parenting Support Commission of Jamaica. We found mothers typically in the inner city communities who were in need, and were able to do that, and it was beautiful. But interesting, one of the things that happened to me in year 2 that I didn't like was going into some of these communities, and I didn't feel the appreciation. When I say appreciation, not because I was doing it, but it was then what $10,000 can do. You know,
That's a mindset.
It's a mindset. And the truth is, I really wanted a little bit more impact. And then by chance, later on that year, I ended up doing a mission with Boom, with the Wisinka Group. Tamara Ward invited me to come on board, and I did, and it changed my life. I mean, seriously, going on that day simply to paint and, you know, do a little bit of hammering, when I saw the ability to change somebody's life in something as simple as providing them with a home, and that it wasn't a particular outreach for a mother, but I'm like, okay, I want to do this. I want to be able to do something as impactful as this.
And as you talk about change, I'm talking about serious change was done. And I'm so grateful to have had that experience. Because what you did with the one build that I went on,
yes,
seeing where the family, beautiful family too, by the way, where they were coming from, what they were living in, because we couldn't really call that a home, to what your foundation was able to gift them with, that was change.
Yeah,
that is impact,
change.
and it's not just change for the family. I'm talking about the community.
Yeah, it has a ripple effect.
Yes, of course.
It has a ripple effect. And then for me, I think the role that a mother plays, and this is why I'm just really, really passionate about parenting in general, we set the tone for everything that happens in a family. When mommy is not happy, everybody else kind of feels it. You know what I mean? And for me, being able to help a mother to be able to provide for her children is life altering for the children. I mean, imagine the perspective of a 5-year-old or a 9-year-old looking on and now seeing where their mother, at the very basic level, she's no longer as miserable. To look at the bill that you came on, they lived in a room, I don't think it was as big as this room. No. It wasn't as big as this, and 6 of them were there.
6 of them, and everything was in that.
Yeah, and that's all those kids knew. They've never known a separate room, a living room, their own space. They've never known that. So I think just to be in a position to be able to help was amazing. For me, it took me on a personal journey myself, knowing that, I mean, I didn't have the means to be able to get up and go into my bank account and say, hey, let me just go and buy a house. No. But I know that over the years of being in business, I have built several relationships. And it took a phone call, a couple of emails, lots of begging, essentially. But begging with a purpose.
Yeah, begging with a purpose.
And just transforming. So I don't think we changed just the life of a mother. I think we were able to change 6 lives. And as you said, it's also the neighbors, because I know what we were able to do, which was one of the things that I'm actually proudest about with this whole program, was to equip, not to borrow your word, but really to equip the mothers to go into business for themselves. So it's not just handing them the fish to eat that day, but it's putting them in a position where they can continue to fish and continue to provide for their children and for their homes.
You said earlier that mothers set a tone, right? And dare I say that it's not just a tone for their children, which is their first, but we're talking about setting a tone for a community. That is what really kind of left with me when I went on the build, like the tone that it was set when you handed this mother a key, the tone that was set when we shone the lights on her. We're talking about the incredible, not only did you create change, you added value.
Yeah.
You opened up, you shifted a perspective really for children, just the look on their faces. It really was priceless. And that's why I thought it was so important to have Michelle back on the show to highlight these things, to celebrate these things, and to also to get the audience and the viewers to jump on board and to be a part of something so powerful, because we're in a society where I feel like we're kind of more selfish than we are selfless, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I'm not so sure if, I mean, we all have bouts of selfishness. We all go through moments of selfishness. But the truth is, I think at our core, we're blessed to still be a part of a society that is quick to help. What I think a lot of us don't realize is how easy it is to help. Help doesn't necessarily come in the form of writing $1 million check.
Yeah.
That helps as well enough, because it takes cash to care. But there are other ways. I mean, even for the other boss moms who would have jumped on board to volunteer to come to ease a workload. So when 3 of us would have gone on our first build to paint, to drill, to hammer, to lift, to move things around, we were able to get to the build after that where we had 11.
Wow.
So and so what would have taken us maybe 7-8 hours in the first day would have taken us 5 hours the second day. So something as simple as that. Time. And even on those builds, it was awesome to see some of the other boss moms sitting with the children, talking with them, trying to understand what contribution you were actually making, because it's not just giving them a bed to sleep on, as powerful as that bed, as a representation that bed is, but it's for them to know that someone cares, and then it's a ripple effect. They will continue, hopefully, we do hope, that they too will then give back in their own little way. Kids, the mother, the neighbors who would have seen it. We're not living in a vacuum.
No.
And I just really, for me, it brought home how powerful we are as individuals. We really are.
How powerful we are as individuals. Guys, again, I'm going to continue to say it. Get your journals, because gems will be dropped throughout this show and all Chasing Purpose shows. But we are powerful as individuals, and not just as individuals. When we come together as a collective, oh my God, the change that can be made. We are joined by the awesome Michelle Gordon. And can I tell you, I met Michelle, I think the first time we met was Chasing Purpose, the first one?
Officially,
right? And we kept in touch. So when she hit me to ask if I wanted to go on this build, I was all in. I had no idea what I was getting into, nails gone, everything, because look at me, I went with these nails. But had no idea what a life-changing day it would have been, and you were sharing with me off camera one of the builds that I went on, just the impact. We're talking about impact and change that it created. If you could just share with us the story of the mummy that...
Right, so she, we did her build, well, all of them were done before Mother's Day. It was a gift for Mother's Day. And on Mother's Day, Delmoy, who was our first recipient, she called me early in the morning to say, Miss Michelle, I put on my piece to soak. And I was like, okay, excellent, really wished her happy Mother's Day. And that evening, she sent some pictures of, I'm about to cry, her family around the dining table that she got, and holding hands, praying over her first meal that she was able to cook for her family, ever in a dining room, and it was so powerful. I don't know how else to stop using that word, because I think one of the things that we were able to do for these moms is to hand them some dignity and pride. That they can now raise their children in a space that doesn't scream poverty, it doesn't scream depression, it's now hope. And that's Food for the Poor's tagline is restoring hope. And I think if every one of us is able to find some way to restore hope in the life of another, then we'd be doing some amazing work,
That was, yes, rightfully so. Delmoy's, just how she received us. When we got to St. Elizabeth, right, to her community, it was maybe 7, 8-ish in the morning. I'm not sure what time. We got there
fairly early.
It was fairly early.
But
she greeted us.
Oh my God.
She welcomed us with a tray of individually packed fruits.
Yeah.
Her concern, she was more concerned actually throughout the day with us, the boss mom team, the Food for the Poor team, the build team. She was more concerned about our well-being than really what the outcome was going to be, and that spoke volumes to me, and her children, they were jumping in, they were helping, they wanted to. It was, to me, it was it was nothing
It
short
was
of powerful.
authentic.
Yes, they were
their
very
experience
yes.
is authentic.
Yeah, it was an authentic one, a moving one, Michelle, a moving one. You also constructed a home for Miss Suzette and her 5 daughters, and in a post online, you mentioned that she did not have access to running water or electricity for over 20 years.
That's so interestingly, all of the moms who got homes lived in spaces where there's no indoor plumbing, no running water. And that's kind of crazy to me in 2022, but it's still a reality for a lot of Jamaicans.
Wow.
And as I said, part of the process of understanding what we were able to hand to them is that dignity. I don't know, just the dignity of your personal space.
You also constructed a home for Miss Suzette and her 5 daughters, and in a post online, you mentioned that she did not have electricity or running water for the past 20 years. Things that we seemingly take for granted.
We take it for granted, yeah. And we take for granted something as simple as being able to go to a bathroom and close the door and do our business in private. All of these 3 homes that we were able to gift this past Mother's Day, they were devoid of running water, indoor plumbing, just the basics. So I don't know if you have you go to the bathroom, you close the door, you have your private time. They didn't know that. So the adults would have known it, the moms would have known it at some point in their past, but the children didn't. We would have seen at the first one, the pit toilet, the outside shower area, dignity. Dignity.
And hope for the future.
And hope for the future.
And hope
Just for them to know, just what we take for granted, the basics of cleanliness.
Yeah.
Just seeing those changes is mind-blowing for me. But at the same time, it's something I would love to be able to do more of. And it's not impossible.
No, absolutely not. We're talking about 3 homes, you know.
Yeah.
And not only were they just homes, right? They were homes that were equipped with things.
Solar powered now.
Solar
Solar
powered.
powered now. Not fully solar powered. I mean, I would love to take it to a place where we can provide more. And also just to move it beyond the home. As I said, we were able to help them out to get into business. Retail, buying and selling, so that they can continue to turn over. But also, I mean, when Delmoy shared with us, and all of the other mothers actually experienced this challenge, is the school fees and also transportation to get the kids to school. So they live, Delmoy is remote, her area is way up in the hills. So she explained that just getting her kids to school, 4 children, transportation is in excess of $1,000 per day per child.
Wow.
So those are challenges that we're trying to figure out ways to help them. But one way is just give them the ability to earn, so that she can continue to pay these bills.
Let's talk about that ability to earn. So you gifted moms who are entrepreneurs, or the aim for you is to show them that they can become entrepreneurs.
Correct.
Talk to us about that.
Okay, so we really have to we're grateful to companies who came on board and gifted cases of products and products.
Yes. Kudos to them.
Right. So if I may, just big up to MDS Limited, Grace Kennedy, Nestle.
Absolutely.
So who would have given them these items that they can now go into business. Just the ability. So you're getting products valued at several $100,000. What we want to do is, and we have been helping them with the skills and the know-how and setting them up with the bank accounts so that they can continue to turn these products and turn a viable business. So it's not just, as I said, it's not just a one-off, here you go, helping you out. It's teaching you how to help yourself. And the good thing is most of these women, all 3 of them actually, were already in some kind of business, but times are hard. So as I said, big ups to corporate Jamaica for coming on board in the way that they did. Answering the call and just helping us to be able to sustain a program such as this. It's just, we as the mothers, we are the most powerful. There's a thing I did a couple of years ago, and we are the most powerful decision makers.
For sure.
However, we would have ended up becoming mothers because a lot of people, and this is a real conversation that was we've had since this whole thing came about is why are there so many children to take care of? And I mean, that's a completely different issue. There is still a mindset out there that, you know, you have the different fathers, who women tend to, a lot of women are looking for support from these different men, and it doesn't come. So they end up with 3, 4, 5, 6 different kids. It happens. But I'm not here to judge.
No.
I'm not here to judge any of the mothers. I genuinely feel that I am here to try to help. Part of the conversation that, you know, we do have with some of them is, okay, let's ease back on having the kids now. It's a reality, because the more you have these children, is the more pressure that you're putting on yourself.
What has the response been when you say something like that to someone?
So 3 conversations were had with the 3 different mothers for this particular build, and all 3, yes, they know, they're aware of it. I mean, I can only hope that we're not going to get a call to say, well, another baby's on the way, because we make it difficult for ourselves, you know, when that happens. But as I said, that wasn't the role here. I didn't come here to judge you. When I look at the kids in all of these circumstances, they're all innocent.
No, absolutely. Without a doubt. Nobody begged to be in.
None of them begged to be here.
Yeah.
But for me, it's also a cycle breaking exercise. Because with one of the moms, she would have had her child at 14, and then her daughter is now approaching. We just don't want a repeat of it. We know what those cycles do. We were having this conversation earlier. It's you know, we need to really focus a lot more on education, and showing them that there's another way, there are options.
And I'm going to ask you to pause. When we come back, we're going to talk just about that, just the education and the way forward for us as a society, as mothers, as women. Fathers we're not leaving them out of the conversation as well. You know, what's the next step? We spoke about education, which I think is very, very, very important. We're actually at a very critical point in society, not just here in Jamaica, but overseas, worldwide, really, as it pertains to education. And as you said when we were off camera, there are 2 types of education, and you focus on a certain type, and one that I am absolutely agreeing with. There is the education, the academics, the ABC 1, 2, 3, but then there's this education I think that we need to be more focused around, especially from home, from you starting a home, that's more character based.
Absolutely.
Yeah, talk to me about
Absolutely. So it's I like to say I focus on the non-academic part of educating a child, of raising a child. We know the value of academics, so that's a given. However, I think that without the value system, without confidence, without the things that our children need to be able to survive outside of a classroom, we are raising kids who are imbalanced. So I think we've come up with different ways, different programs that feed into our children from a very early age, and none of this can be done without parenting. I believe wholeheartedly, and I've said it from the first time I went into any form of business, when we fix our parenting style, when we fix how we parent, how we raise our children, then I believe that we'll eliminate a lot of the problems that we have later on.
Absolutely. Absolutely agreed. We're
looking around at all of the craziness that's happening in the world. I mean, yesterday was just another example of the mad world that we're in. And I think that if we as parents take the time to really focus on our children, the kids that we have, when I say the kids that we have, I've always said, raise the children that we have in front of us, not the kids that we dreamed about having. It's something that I say repeatedly. But when we do that, then we will be able to raise children who will eventually step into their own and know what their purpose is to the society at large. And all of those things come from, I believe a kid who doesn't have confidence is going to then rely on others for the purpose, to figure out, you know, why am I here? Right. They're going to look for others to validate the things that they do. And that in and of itself is just that's a whole different ballgame of problems.
You spoke about just instilling certain values into them. What are, let's say there's a young mother watching this right now. She wasn't poured into. She found herself in this situation, but she knows she wants to break the cycle. She knows that there needs to be some sort of change as it pertains to her parenting and her parenting style. What is a parenting style? What should she be instilling in her baby when that baby comes to life?
For me, kids need some very basic things. Children need love. Obviously, they're going to need shelter, they're going to need food and all, but at the very core, they need to know that they are loved and that there is someone who they can go to regardless of what is going on. And that comes in the form of a child. If you ever look at kids at a playground or they're playing with other kids and there's a fall, the first thing, or something goes wrong, the first thing they're going to do is look towards mommy or daddy, or look towards that caregiver. So the children need to know that when they look to you, that you are going to be there for them. You're not going to scold them, you're not going to shout at them, you're not going to run them. And I think a lot of us as parents, we disconnect, whether intentionally or intentionally, because we're trying to figure out life for ourselves. But I think once we recognize that you have been blessed with a child, our focus has to shift. Our focus has to shift. It doesn't mean that we're going to ignore ourselves, ignore the things that we want or the things that we need, but we have to figure out how to balance it.
This word balance keeps coming up.
It's a crazy word.
I asked someone the other day if do they believe in balance? Do they know what balance is? And they said there's no such thing as balance.
I'm not in total disagreement. Balance is hard. It is hard. I mean, how do you balance? Do you look at 24 hours in a day and say, okay, well, I'm going to allot 8 to sleeping and then 3 to this? And it doesn't work that way. What works is figuring out what your family setting is. Whether you're a single mother, you're in a perfect nuclear family with mommy, daddy, the 3 kids, 2.5 dog, and whatever it is. You figure out what your setting is and figure out what makes those wheels turn smoothly. Is it, are we going to come into a routine of you figure out what time the kids need to be dropped off or picked up, or who is to be met at the bus station, whatever it is. We have to analyze our own journey. I can't analyze your journey and try to figure it out for me. That just doesn't make sense.
As we talk about analyzing your journey, you left your job I don't remember what year it was, but you left your job and started.
Well, let me help you out. I actually didn't leave my job. My job left me.
Okay.
And that's just, owning when things happen.
And these things happen, and it's
absolutely
fine.
At the time I was flying with Air Jamaica, and then Caribbean Airlines came and took over, and I wasn't employed to Caribbean Airlines, so I was separated then. I had a store at the time, a children's clothing store, and I really just kind of used that opportunity and focused on that entirely. But I also was very quick in accepting that I was not the best salesperson out there. I made a lot of business mistakes, but I found during that time I fell in love with helping my customers. So it wasn't necessarily just about selling, making a sale on you want to buy the shoes or the crib or whatever it was. I genuinely enjoyed working with parents on being the best type of parent. I was a voracious reader at the time. There was no parenting book written that I didn't read on or study different types of parenting styles. And I think I was very, very early on, I realized that I wanted to parent in a very hands-on, a very real way. I ended up got divorced when I was pregnant with my daughter. So I have a son and a daughter. And I just decided early on that, listen, we're going to go through this one together. I knew my aim with my children was to have them become functional adults. I didn't want kids who would have been dependent on me for every single thing. And in order to raise a child who was going to be dependent, they have to, one, be able to accept responsibility for their actions. So I was never the parent who, as they fall, I will run and help them to pick up. It's just figure some things out on your own. And I think that gives them the ability to be able to survive when they go out into the real world, because you can't pick up the phone once you're at wherever it is. You can't just pick up the phone every minute and have someone come and rescue you. Yeah, so very, very early on, I also realized that because I'm raising them to release them, I remember watching a show when I was much, much younger called The Empty Nest. I don't know if you remember, it was a sitcom.
Yes, I remember, yes.
And I always remember, but always thinking to myself, but the goal is to raise them, let them go, and then you're back on your own. So
you know, a lot of people that raise them but don't want them to leave, which is a whole
I'm
that's a whole
dying for
other
mine to
issue
leave.
and a whole other show. You spoke about being divorced. When you went through your divorce, did that change your parenting style?
No, not really. Not really. I think I've always been very practical. I find that I think I'm a practical parent.
What does a practical parent look like?
I have conversations with my children all the time. Like, we talk a lot about life, about reality. I made up my mind when my husband and I broke up. I remember always thinking, I don't ever want my children to suffer because of our relationship. So they've never ever, to this day, they've never heard me say anything bad about him. Even if I may feel it for whatever reason, that has never been expressed to them. And then they're not big kids. My son is 17, my daughter is 14.
That's not the case, though. Let me point out, that's not the case
with
though,
most.
with
It's not.
most, no.
It's not. But look here, it's a concerted effort, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we can't help but walk with the bags that we have. We have baggage. We're walking with it.
But it's not the child's baggage, though. I think that's
And
what we need
it
to
never
identify.
should be.
Yeah.
It never should be. But I made an effort. I made a promise to myself and to my children and to him, my ex-husband, that look, they're not going to be a part of what went wrong here. And they've asked the questions, and I've always been very open and honest with them about it. I've accepted blame for my role in the demise of the marriage, and my kids understand that. So, and that to me also is part of the journey of accepting responsibility. So for them, you can't cast blame. The plate broke.
Yeah.
It can't be, oh, the plate broke because it was slippery. No, it broke because you dropped the plate.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And a lot of women do not take that onus.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of
Not just women, a lot of
women there, a lot of men, women, whoever, they don't take that onus. It's somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
It's always somebody else's fault. I think what you just said jumped out at me was you took the responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, you took the responsibility for whatever the actions were, whatever the causes were. I think that's very, very, very important.
And it didn't happen. I mean, as I said, for me, I'm a constant work in progress. When we did these shirts
we
the
all
other day,
are. We
I'm
all
still
are.
under construction.
Yeah.
We're under construction.
Look here now, we all are. That's what
Yeah.
this journey is about. Constant construction. If we're not constantly working on ourselves, what
Yeah.
are we doing? What are we doing? I opened up the show with a phrase, and it says, "God doesn't call the equipped; He equips the call." What do you think about that?
I'm gonna have to agree. I do agree. I think once we have set intentions, things kind of fall into place. I mean, not some things you have to put in a little bit more effort, but I believe that if you are aligned with what you're supposed to be doing, things do fall into place.
Yes.
And if you believe in, I believe in God, and I believe in that higher power that allows things to happen for good. I tell people all the time, my story in business is I started a magazine in 2012. I didn't have the first penny. I didn't know anything about magazine business. I just knew that I wanted to put my voice as a parenting expert on paper, not in the form of a book. I wanted a magazine. I loved the Anna Wintour vibe of that sort of thing, the sexy
like the
feel of that.
of a magazine, nothing like it.
And I called a friend of mine and I told him, I said, look, I want to do this magazine. He knew I had no clue about it. But when I tell you, within 3 weeks of calling him, and then he called a graphic designer friend of his, and it happened. It happened. I was called to do it, I believe. And God sent down the equipment. He equipped me in different ways, you know.
Fun and joke aside, even with what you're doing with the bills.
Absolutely.
You have no idea what you're doing.
No.
You didn't go to school to be an architect or to even put things together, but this is something you saw the need for,
Yeah.
and you went for it, and he equipped you. You didn't have the dollar amount.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He
God
equipped you
has
with
been
all that you
amazing.
needed. Yeah.
The blessings have just been, this is a kind of cup overflowing kind of time for me, honestly. And I really have to give thanks for all of the different players. I mean, this couldn't have happened obviously without like a Food for the Poor, and let's just give them the
Yes,
credit where credit
yes,
is
yes,
due.
yes,
What
yes,
they
yes.
do there is
Yes.
nothing short of amazing.
The ladies I met too were really, really, really great that day. That's how they commanded the site, and they got things moving. So big up to the Food for the Poor, really. And this is something they do on a regular basis. Eh?
Yeah, man. So Food for the Poor builds, I would have to, so far they've built several hundreds. I mean, I'm going to, let me not jump out with the numbers, but I think they've built a couple of thousands of houses.
Wow.
Yeah. Last year alone, I think they built over 300 houses.
Wow.
And all through volunteers,
Yes.
through donations. It's not easy, especially, well, recently with the rising costs in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Everything costs a whole lot of money, but they still continue to get the support through private donors, both locally and overseas.
Yeah.
And I think my project was testament to that. Literally picking up the phone, calling people, begging them the money.
He equipped you. He equipped you.
I was fully equipped.
Fully equipped. And then what you did was fully equipped 3 families.
Yeah.
You know, and equip them with hope, with dignity, with pride to move forward. And that, I think that is what the overarching for me. I'm a big believer in impact and in change. So anytime I get to sit with someone that is doing that, it's important to highlight and to just say kudos and thank you.
Thank you.
You know, for even for answering the call, because you could have went on the build and said, okay, I gave my time to it, and that's it.
You know what I was very excited about with this. So Food for the Poor does this all the time, and people hand over these houses. But I remember going on that first build and seeing, okay, so they got the house, what now?
Yeah, what next?
So they're moving the old things into the new house. And I remember thinking, no, I don't want that part. I wanted them to move in and jump on a brand new bed and open a fridge and so that's the upping the ante part of it, is getting people to make those donations or to send the money so that we could have made those to be able to outfit that part of the home. And I remember when I called a friend who she runs Payless here in Jamaica, and I said to her, look, I need shoes to go on the feet of these children.
Wow.
And they were able to come. Each family got 3 pairs of shoes each.
Wow.
That was, and I have to tell the story when Chip said when she opened her box and it pink.
Yes.
Her shoes were pink,
Chip
and she
Chip
was
is a
put on her
brilliant
little
girl.
shoes and. Oh God! I mean, we take it for we're going to
Yeah, we
closet
take
and
these
we're
things for
choosing
granted.
which shoe do I wear today.
Of course, these things, and that's why it's so important, guys. We take these little things for granted, but there are people out here that literally don't have shoes, running water.
Yeah.
Okay, electricity, or we can just go and fling on a light, turn on cable, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
People do not have it. Some people do not have it. So when we can give, and I'm not asking everybody to just give their last, but whenever you can, it doesn't have to be in the form of the dollar either. Time.
And sometimes something as simple as sharing it. What we did was shared. If you could say something went viral, it went viral, and that helped because I got donations from people who I don't know in as far Germany. Wow. We got donations from Norway.
Awesome.
And some of these donations, $10, $50, but every mickle make a muckle.
Every mickle.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I can attest to that. I was on the bill. I saw how amazing these what change these donations brought to these persons' lives. What's next? I mean, we were talking about so much off camera, and with the different initiatives that you're moving forward with, which however we at the Bridge and CGN can join hands in doing so, we absolutely will. But what's next for Michelle and Boss Mom Network?
I'm going to say it's more of the same because for years, I mean, I'm very, very passionate about changing the way our young girls and our young boys feel about themselves, so that they can in turn turn around and make a bigger impact in whatever circles they happen to find themselves in as when they grow up. So I'm looking forward to a couple more projects for this year. We have Bold Girl coming out later on. That's going to be in September, which is really, that's going to be a one-day platform, inspiration, motivation for young girls who are at a critical point in their lives. This is when a lot of their value system is defined. I want
tested.
And tested.
Yeah.
But it's very important for me. I want these girls to look in the mirror and see a beautiful, powerful, a young person who has a huge contribution to make to this life. And it doesn't have to be recorded. It doesn't have to, it's not going to be based on what a boy thinks of them or what another girl thinks of them, what anybody else thinks. And I think we have so much as women who have walked that path, women who have gone into business, who have become mothers ourselves. I think we have so much that we can turn around and say to them.
Oh,
Sometimes
yes,
it's just
without
a
a
simple
doubt.
word.
It is.
So Bold Girl is that confidence building platform for girls. And very excited, hoping to welcome some 500-600 girls in September, just to kind of pump into them and let them know, look, focus a little bit. Let's focus on the schoolwork. It's not about the twerking and the boys and the, because I think a lot of our girls have been thrown off kilter.
Yeah. Social
Very
media's played
early. Social media is
big
crazy.
Yeah, social media, you know, we were talking the other day, and I'm going to go off topic here just a little bit about this video that seems to unfortunately has gone viral, about this young girl in her uniform, whether she's in school or not, we don't know, talking about a young boy and how big or not so big his parts are, which is a huge problem.
Yeah.
And to me that comes back to parenting, because if parenting was being instilled, or the type of parenting that we would have that we give our children was instilled, she couldn't even fix her mouth to even go live.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I would love, Michelle, is to just kind of reach out to our viewers, our listeners, and just kind of appeal to them, not reach out, but appeal to them on parenting styles, what they should and should. And again, there's no guideline, there's no book that Michelle has versus what I have, but there's something there that we can take away so that we can do this a little bit better.
Oh God, we can do a whole lot better. But I think at the very core of it is, as parents, we have to stay in touch with our kids. We can't parent from a place of do as I say and not as I do anymore. That doesn't work.
Nope.
I think we've learned that.
Yes.
We have to find a way to never lose contact with communicating with our children. And it doesn't necessarily mean that every single day you have to sit down around the dining table and, okay, so how was your day? What did you do? But it's the communication door has to be open. Between a mother and a child, a father and his child, always. However it is that you're going to find out that, to figure out how to keep that door open. And I don't mean open as in, just to use a real analogy, it's not closed and it's unlocked. The door has to be open so that I can come in at any point. And I say this to my children all the time, even though there are going to be consequences for your actions, there will always be consequences for every action, good, bad or indifferent. But know that you can come. Even if I'm going to have to punish you for something,
It's important.
you're going to. And I remember, you know, when I was a little girl, my dad would always say to us, we had a gate and we used to swing on the gate and we used to get in trouble. And the gate broke down one day. But daddy would come and say, he says, look, you did this action, you know that there's going to be a consequence for it. So we got beaten, right? But you're going to bring the belt. I'm going to go to work. You come home. When I get home, you're going to bring the belt and you're going to get slaps. Now, daddy tell me that the morning going to school, you know. So you know that I stressed
the whole day.
And when I got home, when he came home from work, he had his dinner, read the newspaper, do all the things, and I had to take the belt to him, and you get one hand. It wasn't a random beat up. It wasn't like that. But I don't say that to say that there are consequences.
For every action.
There are always, and then my children understand that there are going to be consequences because there are consequences later on in life.
Yeah,
the law is a
absolutely.
consequence. All of those things are going to happen. So, but come and talk to me. Talk to me about, and I think I've said, I don't know if I said it in this forum before. I mean, I've gone through with my son the teenage years of, you know, they've tried to vape. I take off your bedroom door. I did it before. Because you're not doing it in my house. Not like that.
Yes.
This thing of, do I believe in timeouts? No, not necessarily, but I do believe in really and truly speaking to the kids to understand, look, you're going to vape, you're going to smoke, you're going to do all of these things. You want to be an athlete, or you are an athlete. Does that make sense? Let's talk it out.
Yeah.
And let's look at the folly of our ways sometimes. And if you still continue to make a decision, I can't control every single
That
thing.
you do, yeah.
But I know that when I'm sending you out there next year at age 18 and my daughter in 4 years, I know that I would have given it my all.
Yeah, and did your best.
I did my best. I am doing my best.
Yeah.
Am I perfect? No. And I've come to a place with them recently where I'll have conversations. What do you need from me? Tell me what you want to make me be a better mother.
Yeah. That's an important conversation as well.
Yeah.
That we're not having,
sometimes my daughter told me that, Mommy, you shout too much. You really do. You lose your temper too much. And it took me, because I didn't think that I was losing my temper. But then when I look back at certain circumstances, I was going through something on my own that I didn't realize that it was
They're being
manifesting
affected,
that way to them. So I think as parents, they just communicate. There's nothing greater than knowing where your child is at, knowing you're not going to know, they're going to hide things from you. But if you are able to say in general, you understand where your kid is at in certain aspects. If somebody come to me and say, Michelle, you know that Amanda or Christian did X, Y, and Z, I can tell you whether it's a yes or no unequivocally because I know my kids. And you can't know your kids unless you're talking to them and spending time with them. So I think a lot of our problems would be averted if we just get to know our kids a little bit better
And communicate with them.
Communicate with them more. And it just can't stop.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, I think even into when they move out the house, that communication
But
is something
at
that
that
they're
point,
going to be.
it's just a well-oiled machine.
Yes,
it's going to
yes,
continue
yeah,
on its own,
yeah.
but
And
we
it's
have
just
to make the effort
reinforcement.
now.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
when we get to the teenage stage, you know,
Yeah. Oh, it's a
no,
whole
whether we like it or
different-
not, we're not cool parents. I think
Oh,
I'm the
no,
coolest mother
yeah.
around. My kids apparently don't
Beg to
think
differ.
so. Yeah. But
Michelle, thank you for joining us again on Chasing
Yes.
Purpose. I really
Thank
do
you.
appreciate who you are, what you're doing out there, and again, however we can be of assistance.
well, you're coming back
you
to build
know.
with us again next year,
Yes,
so just
we
prepare.
are. Just without the nails.
Just without
Oh,
the
but no,
nails.
man, I'm fully prepared. I love these kind of things for sure. And again, however we can jump on board and be of service.
Thank
be
you.
of service. We'll be there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
you
thanks for
fully
having me
are-
again.
Absolutely, you fully are equipped for this. Your dreams, your goals, your aims, your intentions. Do it. Do it nervously. Do it not ready. Do it with anxiety. Do it with the pieces of the puzzles not in place. Step out on faith and be reminded that God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. As always, sow seeds others can benefit from. Wishing you love, light, and